Morning.
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
We'll get started here in just a minute, Kristen.
All right, Brian.
And we'll kind of put you to the top of the agenda. So
Great.
you don't have to waste the next hour of your life with us.
You look like a fun group. I wouldn't be a waste, but I appreciate it, Brian. Thanks.
You're welcome. So I'm going to call to order the Chenango County IDA Board regular meeting of October 18, 2023. We'll roll call ourselves in.
Raymond. Blanchard here.
Corey here. Woodford here.
Burton here. I am going to actually read the IDA mission statement since it's been revised and it's the first time it's been on our agenda in a while. The IDA mission statement states that it is the mission of Chenango County Industrial Development Agency to advance the health, prosperity, and welfare of the country's citizens by helping to retain, create, and attract business through appropriate investments and incentives. Okay. Just need a motion to approve the minutes of September 20, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, need a second?
Corey seconds.
Corey seconds. Any discussions, omissions, corrections? Hearing none, we'll vote.
I wasn't here, so I'm saying.
Okay.
I wasn't here either, but.
Okay, so we'll have to table the minutes till the next meeting because we don't have a quorum.
Got it.
Okay? All right, on to the financial report. So Kristen, this is where we'll go ahead and introduce you and allow you to present and tell the board a little more about why we've asked you here today. I'll just give you some background. We do have some money these days, which is a nice problem to have. It is currently sitting in a money market account. And at the last meeting, I brought up a bank product, the ICS type of accounts. Me being the chair of the board, some of the board members thought it best that we bring somebody else in to present, and then a motion could potentially be made and I could abstain if they wanted to move forward with it. So I've asked you here today to explain to the board, and just to give you a quick introduction, I'll have everybody introduce themselves to you, Kristen, and then you can tell everybody who you are, okay?
Pete Raymond, Town of Green.
Jeff Blanchard, Town of Pitcher.
Mike Corey, oh, sorry.
George Senek, Chenango County Board Chairman.
Mike Corey, Town of Smyrna.
R.C. Woodford, Clerk of the Board of Supervisors.
And Brian Burton.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Kristen Loader, obviously NBT Bank. I'm in Treasury Management here at the bank. I believe I'm sitting in lieu of Jamie Reynolds, who you may already know pretty well. So I hope I can do it justice. But my role at the bank in Treasury Management is to help look at really three prongs: liquidity management, which is what we're going to talk about today, risk management, and operational efficiencies as it pertains to cash flow, receivables, and payables. So, Brian, are you ready for me to just talk about IntraFi and how it can help the IDA?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, it's nice meeting you all. IntraFi, as I'm sure Brian explained, is actually a corporation. IntraFi is a corporation that has over 3,000 member banks. And so NBT has been a member of IntraFi since 2007. So about 15 years we've been a member, and we've grown along with them. We used to have paper forms. Now we're integrated and automated with our relationship with them. And what we could do to help you really achieve more yield on your deposits as they're sitting in the bank is, with this IntraFi money market, offer you 4.85% on those funds while still keeping them FDIC insured. So the operational differences between the money market that you're in now and the IntraFi program and how it works are very few. Right now in your money market, you have the funds sitting in an NBT bank money market. They're collateralized. You can do a withdrawal, a deposit as you need, and you're earning 3% APR. In IntraFi money market, you actually open up a new account which is a master account that sweeps the funds into and out of IntraFi. I noticed you don't have an online banker. If you do, I couldn't find it. So we would have to enroll you in online banking so that you can see the accounts and access the funds with online transfers. So I wanted to talk about that too, in case that has to be a motion for the board. And then what you do when you have the excess funds, you can even keep your money market open. You would transfer funds from that money market or operating account into the IntraFi account. It automatically sweeps from the bank over to IntraFi, and it's sitting in placement in tranches of $250,000 and less in the other member banks. So for the IDA, the benefit there, I mean, the funds are currently collateralized, but if you put them in the IntraFi platform, NBT actually receives reciprocating deposits to then be able to further invest into our local communities, which sounds like really ties into your mission, Brian, as you explained it. Also, you would receive a statement at the end of every month that shows you exactly where your funds are housed. If they're in X bank, Y bank, Z bank, you would get notice of everywhere they are, all of the summary of the rates, the inflows, the outflows to reconcile to. There is a digital platform that you can enroll in exclusive to IntraFi, or you can just simply work off of NBT's platform and receive a monthly paper statement. If you do have funds in any other bank locally, I don't know the answer to that, but if you do, you would just notify us and we would notify IntraFi to exclude your funds placement from those banks. And that is so that we can not jeopardize the FDIC insurance of the IDA's funds. I'll open up the floor to any questions if there's anything specific that piqued your interest or that was unclear. But basically it is a money market with FDIC insurance that is higher yielding than your current money market.
So we do have online banking.
The online banking it's all in commerce.
Okay, it's under commerce.
Yeah.
That's why. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, we actually, so the IDA subcontracts Commerce Chenango as our executive director and labor force.
So would we have
So-
to do separate online banking if we did this with IDA?
No,
No.
if you already have the accounts tied to a main platform, that of Commerce Chenango, as you either add the account or convert an account, they would have access to the fund. So that would be up to you how you'd like to, if they've already been subcontracted and authorized to initiate transfers to and from your accounts, then they would maintain that role. We would add it to that platform and they would be responsible for making those transfers.
Okay, that's good.
We can have a separate account if you'd like an online banker.
No.
So Kathy
One
Jo's
is
our,
good.
you can't see Kathy
No.
Jo because she's sitting right next to the computer.
I can't.
Hi.
She's our finance
There she is.
person.
Hello. Okay.
She's the head of finance
Nice to
for
meet
us.
you, Captain John.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any reason not to do it?
So, so I've done plenty of these presentations, sometimes in conjunction with Kristen and Jamie, sometimes not. I ask myself that every time I do one of these. It's tough, right, Kristen? People don't just jump on this, and I don't know why, but I have yet to find a negative to it. And Kristen, do you have any cons of this?
So I have heard one con. It's almost like it's too good to be true, so I'm glad you brought that up. It is. We've been a member for so long, clients have been asking us and not really caring because they prefer yield. And then with SVB and Signature Bank failures, now we're getting an influx of inquiries and they're saying, well, why didn't we do this sooner? And we said, we don't know. We're here. We've offered this. We're integrated. It's just that simple. The only con that I have heard from some clients is that you need 2 accounts. And the reason you need 2 accounts is because you need a master account, which will always be held at a 0 balance. And that account helps NBT facilitate the automated transfer to IntraFi. So you do a transfer into that account. We then sweep it to IntraFi. And now that second account I talked about is your shadow so that you can see your balances. So some clients just have a tough time understanding why they have two accounts. It's really just that simple. It's the sweep mechanism to go to IntraFi and from IntraFi so that you have that much more availability in the accounts to earn interest. And then when you debit the account, you have immediate access to those funds and availability that if you were funding a project that you needed to send a wire today, you could do a transfer and send that wire. So I only see upside to the two accounts, but I have heard some clients say, oh, well, now I have two accounts instead of one. And that's the only thing that I've ever heard from a negative or a con.
So we have had instances where municipalities have closed out their shadow account by accident because it was a zero balance account. And they, thinking, well, we don't use this account anymore. I don't even know what it's for. And they close it out. So you do have to realize that that account is there. So I guess if there was a con, it's that. But yeah, I can't understand why more people are not taking advantage of this, especially at 4.85 for liquidity. If 3 years ago I told you could get 4.85, I would add a line 3 miles long, but now that rates have moved up, it's almost, people have become numb to it again already. They've settled in, and but yeah, it's almost like, why aren't they just saying, where do you sign me up? And it's not happening that way, which is bizarre to me. But yeah, so to answer your question, Pete, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. But again, that's why you asked Kristen Loader to present instead of just me, because another opinion. And
I'm sure there's an old school of thought, you do bank with business with a certain bank, and you make your deposit to MBT, but your dollars on a temporary basis may not be there. And there's folks that might.
But it's pretty quick. John Zierlein did a presentation to our town board years ago, and my board was opposed to it, so we did not move forward with it. But once again, it's one of those things. They said, well, we don't know these other banks. We don't know, their status and so forth. What's it going to be like?
But they're FDIC insured, right? That's the whole purpose.
Yeah, and that's the whole intent, is each.
Distributed across.
I thought it was a good idea. Because your board doesn't always.
So that's really
correct.
yeah, and if there's a bank,
I'm from Truxton.
if there's a bank you're nervous about, or you think might be in trouble, or you want to stay away from, let's say, the big boys, you can tell us not to put the money with with those banks. You can choose banks not to put your money with as well. So you do have even that control. But you're right. I think RC. I think it's the feeling of, well, my money's not with MBT at this point. Well, it still is. You're still our bank of deposit. Yeah, we're just sweeping it out on your behalf. And we as a bank actually appreciate it. You're helping us. And the reason you're getting that exorbitant amount of interest with liquid money is because you're saving us so much money by not having to collateralize your funds overnight. So yeah, and plus we're getting those deposits back from say municipalities around the world. So and we get to make money off that we can reinvest as well. So it's twofold. It's good for us. It's good for you.
I think it sounds like a good arrangement. I
You
really
need a
do.
motion?
I have a question. So we would need at least 5 accounts now. And as the money grows from interest, would it move into opening more account as needed?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Right, Kristen. So she's saying, so we have $1 million right now. So she's saying it's going to have to be split up over 5 banks. When we get to 1.2 million, another bank would come on board, right? So now that we would have 6.
Actually, you may have 20. It's up to IntraFi.
Right.
I've
Okay.
seen IntraFi place in tranches of 243, $1, $10. It's up to IntraFi how they place the funds. Like Brian said, if there is a bank either that you have depository funds with, or for any reason you'd like to exclude, IntraFi will exclude them from placement. The big players, actually, I've noticed, are not in IntraFi. Like M&T is not an IntraFi. The larger banks are not members. They're deemed too big to fail, right? So they aren't. But I will say on that comment, RC, that you had, and I think another, We have been members for 15 years. When Signature and SVB failed, we actually had under a dozen clients of ours whose funds were placed with Signature and SVB through IntraFi. And you know what? They continued to earn interest every day, and they had total access liquidity to their funds. They didn't lose a penny because everything was in tranches under the FDIC insurance amount. And it was very interesting on a personal note for me. I've been with the bank for over a decade, and you speak of this hypothetically, but I actually saw it in action. The proof is in the pudding. It was absolutely exactly how it was expected to happen. So funds are entirely FDIC insured. If there's a bank that you don't like, that you want to exclude, you can. The question about the 5 accounts. So you have 3 accounts now. I noticed one has been at a zero balance, this railroad account, for a very long time. You could even convert that account to your master, and we would only open up 1, so you would have 4 total accounts. You don't have any more accounts with NBT. That 4th account, that shadow account, all of your funds that are with IntraFi, they place them. You only reconcile 1 account, whether it's with 20 banks, 5 banks, 10 banks, you only reconcile for 1 account.
Okay. Good. Any other questions for Kristen? Okay, so yeah, I guess at this time we'd entertain a motion. Need a second? Any other discussion, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond, aye.
Blanchard, aye.
Corey, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Burton abstain. All right, Kristen, it obviously just passed. Excuse me, just passed. We'd like to move forward with getting started with the ICS to get the funds transferred over. Probably $1 million, right? We don't want to do it all because we need, right? Yeah. So
Sure.
I believe you have Jenna's email address.
Okay.
So you could email her and then
Okay.
she could get you Kathy Joe's email address, the
Okay.
finance director, okay?
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time this morning on the agenda.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a great.
you too.
I always do that.
You're out.
All right, thank you for listening to that.
Sure. What were we earning before? 4.85.
We're earning 3 right now.
We're earning 3.
And making good money on
Yes,
that 3.
According to the September financials, we made 2,900. So we've gotten a total of 15,481 for interest this year.
Nice revenue.
Yeah, which was unbudgeted revenue.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when we were putting the budget together last year, there was still no interest rates being offered.
And most of it was sitting in the checking for quite a while this year, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's good. It's a good problem to have. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, we were talking about how we were gonna make $400,000 last for another 5 years, right? So it's good. All right, well, keep going, Kathy Jo. Tell us more about our financials.
Okay, so for the month of September, page 5 of the statement of activities, we have a negative 7,200 for the month, but year-to-date net activity is 334,000. And budget was 84,000, so we're 249,000 to the good for the year.
So that's good news, bad news, right? It means we didn't budget well.
Well, we didn't plan on some of the pilots
Yeah,
going through.
right.
Yep.
So it's obviously when we're doing the budget for next year, we'll take those into consideration.
And then if the building sells to everything Bagley, that will also increase if that's this year.
Yeah, so it's a far cry from, if you remember during budget season last year, we were talking about how we were gonna make up about a $40,000 shortfall in the
Yep.
budget. And then, of course, we remembered that we were selling a building and some property, so that would make it up. But obviously, that's not a concern. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Receivables, I see you've got everything bagel still
Yep,
owes
that's
us.
the current month for the utilities they reimburse us for.
Okay, good.
I pay the bills first and then I'll invoice them to reimburse us.
Okay. Excellent. So if there's nothing else on that, get a motion to approve the financials.
Woodford moves.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond, aye.
Blanchard, aye.
Corey, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Bert and I. Motion to approve September check payments. We got Chenango County, normal amount, Bond, Schenk, and King, and Village, Bainbridge Water and Sewer for a total of $10,910.76. If I can get a motion to approve those.
Corey moves.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote.
Raymond, aye.
Blanchard, aye.
Corey, aye.
Woodford, aye.
Bert and I. Executive Director report, so you may notice Sal's not here. He'll be back soon, hopefully, but he's had some things he's got to take care of. Railroad update, I don't see Shane. Do you want to give us synopsis from the meeting Friday? I assume.
Yes. So we met with Southern Tier Network on Friday with also Jen Gregory and the railroad to go over the possibility of putting fiber in. They've done some mapping and looked at all of the crossings and think it's still feasible to do the fiber buried under the railroad. They talked to Nathan Fenno about pricing. They want to know how much is the normal price per mile for doing something along those lines. He informed us that AT&T pays upwards of $9,000 a mile. That's not in Southern Tier's budget. So they asked me to put together the amount that the railroad pays the IDA. I found out that it's $3,500 a year. So I informed them of that. They're going to utilize that as a tool to kind of possibly say, hey, this is what we can give you instead of $9,000 a mile. Right now, they were just compiling information from both the railroad to see how far we could go with the fiber, where the tracks are. He said that we could get all the way into downtown of Binghamton. So we can get all the way through Chenango Forks, because that was a concern. They didn't know where in Chenango Forks it was still operable and all that information. So Nathan got us that. Right now, Jeff and his engineers are putting together a plan of whether or not they want to do buried fiber or if they want to do aerial. There was conversation for pricing wise, if aerial would be cheaper and still viable with the line. So those were the conversations that were had. They plan on coming back together with both pricing and also which plan of route they want to go down. So that was Friday's meeting.
Prior to Friday's meeting, we met on Wednesday with Nathan Fenno, the DEC, and the DEC, I can't remember the gentleman's name, and the DEC's attorney. There's easement down behind where like the label gallery and stuff was. I believe it was Benedict. Thank you. Was down there at one point, and there was a spill that required a lot of cleanup. It's still considered a hot spot, although very minor. But they installed ventilation in all the homes down that way. You had the option of taking it, and it was part of the cleanup. So the question was, if they wanted to do this with the fiber, is it even possible, because you'd be going through DEC hotspot? So that's why that meeting took place first. The DEC said that yes, it's still quite possible to bury lines, whatever you want to do. There's certain uses, obviously, that they don't really matter a lot when it comes to them, but it's not something that you would do without the DEC overseeing. There would be some extra steps involved. The DEC would oversee the project in that area to make sure that nothing's being worsened by it. There happens to be on the one side of the railroad track, there's a bank where they really couldn't clean up efficiently what they should have, what they needed to, because it was rock, right? It was bedrock. So that's where the hot spot still is. But you can see from, can you blow that up?
No. Is that better or no?
There was I think there was another one that showed like.
Yep, there's more.
So that's the area that we're talking about. This is how they remedied it.
Mhm. This is where those.
So each one of those white boxes is a hot spot still.
Mhm.
And it is just, it's a very short distance. It's not a very, I mean, we're not talking in miles. It's measured in feet versus
Yeah.
miles.
And that's gotta be over 40, 50 years. What could they have spilled that they're still mitigating it for so much time?
TC.
TCE and TCE are both,
Yeah.
right now on the ground.
Because there's two other companies since then operating there since.
It was,
you know, I don't-
yeah, it was common practice at the time. The solvents went literally out the back door of the railroad ballast. So it was literally a spot just outside the facility. I dealt with that back
Yeah, see,
30 years ago.
these two are the ones that are still omitting higher levels than they should be.
So PCBs, you don't want to dig. Really, a lot of times they just let it sit.
This is
TCE.
TCE, trichloroethylene and pyrachloroethylene, which can be a,
So is it something you don't want,
Degradation
is it something you don't want to disturb? As you would?
it's an industrial solvent. It's highly volatile but I think in bedrock there, it's just been a little tough for them to get at. This is their third iteration of remediation.
Yeah, they've done it quite a few times. I didn't see any other pictures. They said that they couldn't excavate. They noticed that the highest concentration was right underneath of where the rails are, and they can't excavate that because the ballast wouldn't be steady. So they said that they had to go 15, I forget the measurement, meters away from the ballast. So that's where they were able to dig. So if the railroad wants to use anything or to dig anything underneath of it, they can. It's just they have to do it within the site management plan that's going to be signed hopefully soon. We haven't signed the easement yet. We're reviewing all of the site management and the actual easement document itself today, this afternoon, to go over what is allowed and what isn't allowed. We were notified that by DEC that we can dig. We just have to do it within the site management plan. And then if we wanted to do a bike path and pave over it, again, that's something that we're within our bounds to do.
Yeah.
So.
They said that's actually an acceptable remediation.
Yeah.
Is to pave over top of it.
Same thing with utilities.
There was a map, there was a nice map that showed all the houses that had been remediated. And it was, to me, that was very interesting.
This
Yeah,
is
I think it's
how-
coming up.
Yeah, this is the one that they have. This is the only map that they have of all the houses. And this is how it's been remediated and which ones are now monitored and not monitored.
So as you can see, it goes quite a ways.
Yeah.
That they went and
Yeah.
put in the ventilator. You had the option.
Yeah.
As a homeowner, for them to come in and do that.
Mhm.
So, and it looked like it might have been the DEC that had the one map that showed each individual
I
house.
think they did.
It looked like most of them in that area.
Where's the factory in that area?
It's right there where it says Lee Avenue, Mike. See Lee Avenue plant site on the right side.
There we
of the
go,
picture.
okay.
And then if we go back to the
It's
other
right-
one, it's
right
this
next to the
purple,
tracks.
that
Purple,
purple one
right?
right there,
Okay.
yep.
Wow,
The big
that
purple one.
goes right over.
Yeah.
So Street beyond.
And they'll constantly they're required to do testing throughout. Like, they're not just gonna stop doing testing, even though we have an easement. They're required to do testing continuous for quite a while. So they'll monitor it. And if we do any digging or anything like that, they have to be the ones to test it and monitor and the process of all that. And it's Hercules that is doing all the testing and environmental with us. So.
So growing up, every kid that I knew, there was a heck of a BMX path down through there. So we all spent a lot of time there.
Didn't hurt you any?
No, probably made us, immune to certain things. But yeah, I mean, we would spend hours on those tracks, unknown to us. So just a quick update on that, okay? Moving on to pilots, Smyrna Solar. We're still waiting on the decommissioning cost. We've asked multiple times for the estimate on that. We haven't received it yet. So we cannot move forward, and we will not sign a contract at this board until we have that number. So ball's in their court. What else is going on with Smyrna Solar? Mike, you know anything?
I'll say.
In the minutes of our town board meeting, the planning board had reason to believe that they were going to modify, adjust, or reevaluate the location of the site itself. They just have to move it, so whether they just have to do an addendum to the site plan, I don't know, we haven't heard back. But that was just a report from our planning board. So if it's a mild or minor change, then, I don't know if that would affect the seeker or the site plan evaluation, but it could. So you would probably have to at least re-examine everything before going forward with the pilot.
Well, I think if they're gonna move anything, they need to let us know. Tell us what it is, show us what the move is. If the
Yeah, and I don't have documentation, so that's why I was a little hesitant to get into it too much, but I believe it's a gas line that they were unaware of that could cause some complications.
Might potentially could be a very minor modification.
It could be
Potentially
as easy as that. Yeah.
didn't, or potentially could be a very major one.
Right.
No, as Brian says, no, I don't tell them until they come up with a solution.
Yeah.
So Jenna, can you reach out to them, Smyrna Solar?
Them personally or through our legal team? Because I've contacted them directly several times and they're not responding.
So I guess however you have to
Okay,
get a hold of them
okay,
and just firm up that yes, they have to make some adjustments.
Okay.
And if they do, we'd like what those adjustments are.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that we can gauge, is this minor, is this major, are they staying within the original boundaries? How's it gonna affect what they've already presented to us, essentially? Okay?
Yep.
And then we'll gauge if we gotta go back to the drawing board. Good, thanks, Mike. Bainbridge Solar. So we met with Town of Bainbridge, Village of Bainbridge, school superintendent was supposed to be there, he couldn't make it. Just kind of let them know that this is going on. It's in our lap now. Thank you for taking care of the seeker. Appreciate it. That's what lead agency means, by the way, that they're just going to take care of the seeker. It doesn't mean that we're out. We did get a few questions as far as authority goes. What can we approve? What's our UTEP look like? And we just gave them the same pitch that we've been giving townships. This is kind of what it looks like. They apply. We're better at this than we once were. We're more adamant about certain things such as decommissioning, site plan, things of that nature, cost benefit analysis. And Jenna has reached out to get tax bills because there's, what is there, like 10 tax map numbers? And we're talking village, county, school, town. So that we can put together the analysis on that of what's being paid now versus what would be being paid. So we talked a little bit about that. We talked about how we charge and how we've gotten better at that due to some advice from the county and the assessor's office. Just those kinds of things. And we then recommended that they go out to our website and look at the previous pilots on solar projects. We also gave them some other counties to look at projects so that they could see what a pilot is, how it works, and what the IDA's roles are in this, because there seemed to be a little bit of misunderstanding of what the IDA's role is, why they're even necessary when it comes to a project like this. So there was some questions about, do we get income from this? And of course we do. That's how we survive. But overall, I think it was a good meeting. It was informative to all parties that were there. The property that I didn't realize, I just assumed it was town of Bainbridge because of the location, but part of the property is in the village of Bainbridge, so there's multiple taxing entities. So, and we're still going to set up another meeting to speak with the school superintendent over there as required by law. So, okay. Any questions on that? Great. Jenna, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you touched on everything.
Okay, good. Okay, moving forward, Norbit Solar.
So in the packets, you have documents that were sent to both me and I forwarded to Brian that we asked our legal team of what they are. And they explained that this is a collateral document. I'm not sure how to explain it. They didn't give us a whole lot of information, but they said that it was okay to sign. If you want to go ahead and read through it, it's a lot of legalese that I didn't understand.
So we relied 100% on our legal team.
Yep.
With this document, is if it, is this something that we should sign off on, so on and so forth. Their recommendation was to sign it within the allotted time frame by law, and get it back to them. That this is commonplace.
So it has been signed and sent back to our legal team to get back to Norbit.
It's not a very good explanation, but I read that and it really didn't. It didn't.
I didn't understand.
I said, wow.
Well, they're changing who has responsibility for this. The entity changes.
Okay.
Well, you're saying that is the ownership going to us, so we own it, and that's gonna be the vehicle to get the pilot?
No, well, that's already happened, but the lease-back agreement, the name on that is changing. I think.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Oh, okay.
It almost looks like they put this up for collateral with another institution.
Yeah, I think they're
well.
selling,
Yeah.
they're selling the project, basically. Whoever we signed the original lease agreement with is now selling the project to somebody else, so they've got to change the name on the lease agreement, essentially.
And that other somebody else is working with a bank to get financing, US
it
Bank
says-
National Association.
It says on the very last page, please indicate your consent to the merger and the collateral assignment. So they're assigning this property that was collateral to the new merger entity, and then they have the contact, which is Next Era Energy, who is purchasing it. So.
Okay, that it does make some sense now.
Yeah.
So we originally got this with no direction. It said sign.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no instructions, no anything. It just came in a little envelope that said, please sign and return this.
And with these, there's certain regulations that
Yeah.
go along with
Yeah.
timeframes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, obviously, we went back to the attorney and said, what is this and what should we do?
Yes.
Um,
Blame me there.
Yeah, so we just followed their,
Another update that's not related to any of these solar projects, we did receive a declaration from a solar farm in Norwich, basically asking us to say whether or not we wanted to be lead agency on it. They basically said we had 30 days to respond. They sent it to us and we had 2 days to respond after that, and the expiration date passed. So they took it as we didn't have any qualms against it via no response.
is it city or town?
I'd have to get the paperwork. I have it on my desk. I believe it is town, not city.
So I wonder if they declined to be lead agency and then they came to us? 'Cause usually they
No,
go
I
to
think it was the city or the town was asking if we wanted to be
The
lead agent.
town was
Yes.
asking.
Yes, if we wanted to be lead agent on it. And if we didn't respond, then we would have no issues with them being lead agent.
Which may be okay, because we prefer.
We don't want to do the seeker. That's what it was.
Well, there's a
about.
lot of paperwork. I've just looked into
Oh,
it.
yes.
But, is there any advantage of being a lead agency? Does it allow you any privileges, or
I don't think so.
is it like, what would be the advantage of being a lead agency other than giving yourself a boatload of work?
Well, you'll be more knowledgeable
Yeah.
of the ins and outs of the project because it's hands-on, but other than that, you're right, it's a lot of work.
Under land use regulations, the town does have some obligation.
Yeah, our planning board just took over that.
Yeah, and you get site plans and
Yeah.
stuff like that ahead of time, so you know what project. That, I think to George's point, you're gonna be more knowledgeable about the project before it even
Yeah, you
gets
really
started
got,
level.
you really got boots on the ground in
Yeah.
your town.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's coming to our level or if it'll just bypass us completely and go to the county. Because I think they aren't coming to us for that one.
Do you happen to notice where?
I'll have to look at
Or
it.
how large it is, do you know that?
That I don't know. They didn't give that information, but I'll
Super.
forward it to everybody in the board after we're done.
Any other questions, comments, concerns on that? Any new business? No. Do we have a need to go into executive session? Nope. I'll entertain the favorite motion of the day to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
No way. I want to. No.
You could get outvoted on that.
Corey
No,
seconds.
Corey seconds.
By default, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Carries. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
want me to sign one of these checks?
Yeah, the $10,000 is gonna require 2 signatures. So if you sign it, I'll also counter sign.
Awesome, thank you.
Question, both these roles, education system at the meeting.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
No, happy to.
Oh, no.
Well, you'll spot.
Okay. What's my name? Sure. Because that makes, they get back to me.